Welcome to the Transmission Coaching Podcast, powered by ATRA. Today's podcast is sponsored by Gears Magazine, your magazine for the automatic transmission rebuilding industry. Be sure to get into Gears. Get your free subscription at gearsmagazine.com. Click on subscribe. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe to the Coaching Podcast. And now here's your host, Coach Lance Wiggins.
Welcome to the Transmission Coaching Podcast. It's a great day to fix transmissions. My name is Lance Wiggins. I'll be your host today. And with me, again, as usual, my co-host, Vanessa.
Hello.
How was your week? So far, so good?
So far, so good. I'm pretty busy.
Yeah, we're how many days out of Expo are we at now?
Oh, why'd you have to ask me that?
I know, right? Put you on the
I know,
spot.
like, how many weeks out, because that's how we track our, all our numbers. I think we're at 17 weeks out.
17 weeks and counting. 17 weeks is it goes a lot faster than you think. I know. It seems like yesterday I was asking for the sun to come out, and now it's hot. And
here it is, and now we're asking for it to leave now.
Yeah, right. Now I've got my suntan line, my straight sun, my cap head is looking awfully.
I noticed it this morning.
I bet. So I wanted to capture a couple things. We've been talking about education in the industry. We've been talking about Expo, and I had mentioned a few times during some of the podcasts about Laura Wilson and Advanced Transmission out in Spanish Fort, Alabama, and how they have kind of used the What's Working program to effect. So I thought today might be a good idea to maybe give her a call and see if she can
doing.
Yeah, see if she can share. So let's go ahead and get her on the call there.
Okay.
Advanced Transmission, this is Laura.
Hi, Laura. It's Lance and Vanessa. How are you?
Hey, guys. I'm doing fantastic today. How are y'all doing? How you doing, Nessa?
Good. I'm doing good. You sound great.
Oh, yes. Having a good day here. It's hot.
Oh, yeah. We shouldn't complain about our heat.
Yeah, right. What kind of weather are we talking about over there today?
Oh, goodness. It's, just our typical summer weather. The sauna bath when you walk outside. I think it's like 97 with a 106 heat index with about 95, 96% humidity.
I'm okay with that as long as I'm at a pool with a drink. But carrying on like everyday routine, oh my gosh, Laura.
Yeah, I can't be out in the heat. I'm not accustomed to it or used to it or know how to work in it. So I can't get in it. I have to stay in the cool. But we just did a little live video just a few minutes ago on Facebook and congratulated all the guys that work in the heat and told them thank you. And we're giving some little thermometers away for Advanced Transmission. But, some tips
What
on
a great
hydration.
idea.
So it's important, that's for sure.
Yeah.
How about you guys?
Well,
We just finished an expo meeting.
Yeah, it was fun.
Very interesting, as they always are.
And we were talking about doing this podcast on Saturday, trying to drum up some fun conversation during the show floor hours on Saturday.
That was supposed to be a secret, Lance, but yes, we're gonna do.
Well, I can share with her and our listeners.
Yeah,
There you go.
podcast on Saturday on the trade show floor. So.
Oh, wow, that'll be cool.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. So more details to come.
That's
Y'all always
right.
have something fun and new at the expo. We always look forward to that.
So I don't know if you've seen or heard any of the recent podcasts, but I've taken the initiative to use you and your company because I've seen a difference in how you've kind of evolved with the new, as time goes on, the different types of things that you went to What's Working, you kind of saw what other people were doing and implemented those into your own business. But before we go there, I'd like you to tell our listeners a little bit about your business and how long you guys have been there and where you're located at.
Well, business is Advanced Transmission. It's in Spanish Fort, Alabama. It's a real fast-growing. I think the last podcast I was listening to, and yes, I've listened to all. I think you've had 7 or 8. Our phone lines were down, I think, when Lance tried to call the last podcast. 'Cause we have so much construction. But anyway, Spanish Fort is one of the fastest-growing cities and the fastest-growing county in the state, in the United States. So we are growing very, very fast. So we've been here 25 years, and and just ticking right along.
Neat.
That's it.
Laura, so it's you, Marvin, Donnie, who's a couple of your other employees you got there?
Jonathan is our service advisor, and he is also now the president of the Gulf States chapter for ATRA and doing a fantastic job.
Yes, he is. He's been great to work with.
Yes. Samantha, she does all my digital media and a lot of the things that we do as far as the social part.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have Donnie's building, and Brian Colton. He's our apprentice technician, and of course my marvelous Marvin. And we have a new guy that's starting next week.
Oh,
We're moving him from Fairfax, Virginia.
Oh, outstanding.
Very
Business
very
is growing. We
exciting.
love to hear that.
Yes.
So, I know that I think you and I met in 2001. How many expos have you been to? Even,
Since then.
Yes. Well, actually, since 2001,
Yeah.
probably, yeah.
Well, how many expos has ATRA had?
Ooh. Oh, boy.
I didn't realize this was going to be a trivia episode. Oh my goodness.
Well, I think including, I want to say including when we were partnered up with Trans Digest, I would have to say we're probably 40, almost 40
goodness.
now.
Well, I probably haven't been to quite that many.
yeah.
But I guess a couple of years, 3 years back, we decided we might not go, and we didn't. And we said that would never happen again.
Why is that?
Well, we struggled afterwards, as if we didn't get our shot in the arm.
Yeah.
I mean, we need our boost.
Mm-hmm.
And, you just miss seeing all of your fellow transmission people. You miss learning and getting the new stuff that's going out there. And, it just pumps you up and gives you ideas to help you through the rest of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Just like if you were going to, you go to church and you go to get pumped up to do well for the rest of the week. You know?
Refreshed, updated.
Yeah,
kind
so
of
if y'all had Expo more than once a year, it'd probably be there then.
Oh no, that was my nervous laugh. No, just kidding.
Yeah,
Don't you want to do more than one a year?
if it means seeing Laura twice a year,
Yeah,
heck
we're in.
yeah.
We're in for sure. So, when you first heard about What's Working and the What's Working program, did you have any thoughts about that? Like, what exactly is this, or how does it work?
Well, I can't remember exactly when What's Working started, but I do remember that being on the board of directors for ATRA, there was a need to help shops in a business sense, in running their business. They were the best technicians in the world, and but they were trying to run their business, and they may not have been business people. They were probably technicians. And so there was a need for at least people to come together and help each other out, exchange ideas and kind of things like that. So when I was asked to be on a panel, I was like, who am I to be telling other people, I'm just an average transmission shop owner just like anybody else. But that's what's so good about it, is because we're just like each other,
Exactly.
We're just helping each other out, just everyday folks.
Exactly.
Do you remember going to the expos when we had, multiple rooms going, different management speakers?
We'd have like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Tech
And you
seminars
had
at
to
one
you had
time.
to kind of pick and choose which direction you wanted to go with regards to management. Do you recall those?
Yes, we have. We've always taken all of our staff to Expo, and our itinerary in the days that there were just multiple speakers at the same exact time, it was a very, very long 5-6 page itinerary.
Chaotic.
So yes, it's hard to pick and choose. You want to try to get all of them, so you send a few to each one. But it sure is nice this way.
Yeah, I find because when we go to courses and they have different classes like that, and you break up your party, if you will, and when you reconvene, you know, your guy starts telling you a little bit about the class, and you're like, man,
Should have been there.
you know, yeah, I mean, that sounds good, and I don't know if you can tell me about the class as good as the instructor
Yeah,
could have.
yeah.
I think that's the difference. So obviously going to one class, if you decide that you don't want to be there in that specific class, that's your time to get up and go get a cup of coffee, or you know, go have some lunch, something like that. The What's Working program and what Dennis and Roger kind of, you know, put together in the facets, the different instructors that we have come in, we're hoping at the time that they would allow businesses to kind of gain some information with regards to what other shops are doing, as well as kind of like, you know, the panel that we had earlier. We're doing something very similar this year as well. And when I look back at shops, and this will be a good intro into your website. But I look back at shops and I see the different websites. You know, ATRA offers some in-house websites. Other shops go and do their own websites. And what that shop does with the website kind of dictates the type of shop, if you will. You know, Yelp is a big deal, and Google Plus and all this stuff. So I saw one of your videos. Your 5-minute transmission rebuilding video, by the way, was awesome. Just awesome. And if you haven't seen it, I'm going to give Laura an opportunity to plug that website so you guys can check it out, because it is really cool. But your website was intriguing to me. It had a lot of videos right up front. It was bold. It was beautiful. It gave me some inspiration. Like, man, I really like this shop. And even though I know you, being, you know, from the outside looking in as a consumer, I thought that your website was well done. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how you kind of came up with that idea?
Well, I have to give credit. You know, we read a lot of the trade show magazines, industry magazines, Gears, and we read an article, and I am all about going and visiting other shops. Met a girl at Expo last year and traveled to Atlanta, and we still exchange and good buddies. But there was a guy that has 10,000 Facebook fans on his Mr. Transmission site. And I was so intrigued by how in the world did he get that many likes. And so we have more, probably, I think, 1,300, and most shops have 200 or 300. And so, you know, I was thinking we were doing really good. And so, you know, I just pick up the phone and call him.
Nice.
Hey, you know, how do you do this, and what are you doing about this and this, which gave us the inspiration about the video, the 5-minute video. We were thinking about doing one, but hadn't seen one, and wanted to kind of get some ideas, and we researched his website and Facebook and saw it, and so I called him, and you know, people are willing to share information that they have. You just have to ask.
Yeah.
You have to want to do it. So, you know, that inspiration came from there. Our website has just evolved. We're always trying to make it more customer-centric, so that it's for the customer. You know, what's there for the customer? What can we provide for the customer? And so that's what we're trying to do, is just
To put yourself in their shoes.
Well, I saw your rebuilding in 5 minutes. I'm going to drop my car off about 8. Can you have me ready to go by 8:30?
How do you keep a straight face?
Yeah.
Sure.
You know, it's funny because we've had people. It's exactly what Lance said. It's really funny. Yeah.
Yeah,
But we're glad they're watching it.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, it's like I said. when YouTube we've talked about this before. You know, they've got a great search engine. It's probably, I think it still is the number one search engine, and you know what they do and how you know the platform that they use is fantastic. And then linking it to your website, so every time, you know, regardless which direction you're going, you get the opportunity to, you know, to view certain things. Uniqueness is kind of the key. And seeing Donnie, was that Donnie or was that Mar putting the?
That was Donnie.
Donnie putting the transmission together, and it was like 5-minute rebuild. And I'm like, oh, I gotta watch this. I'm curious. And man, he was moving.
He was.
Very cool.
I also noticed, and you mentioned earlier that you guys just did a video today. You said something about you were putting a big shout out to the guys working in the heat. You're pretty big as far as being excited about putting stuff on social media. Tell us how did you come to that conclusion that social media is a good idea, and what's
for this industry? Yeah,
for this industry, and what's your take on it, and what are you doing to kind of push that information out?
Well, I have always felt that from the very beginning of social media, the internet, online, and I've been in the business when there was no such a thing. You know, you didn't have cell phones, you had beepers, or, you know.
Laura, can you please explain to Vanessa what a beeper is?
What a beeper.
I had one. Thank you very much. But thank you for the compliment.
It's come a long way. But I think that the most important thing that I guess I could tell other shops that may be listening is you just can't become complacent.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what's happened to a lot of our wiser generations, is that we become complacent. We don't know how to use the computer a certain way, or the smartphones drive us crazy, or you know, the social media is craziness. We use every possible social media that we can possibly keep up with. Everything. And we try to do new things. We look at other people's and kind of get ideas from it and just kind of run with it ourselves. The more exposure that we have to more people, the more business we have.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we just keep up with social media and watch other things and come up with ideas and do those, you know. So we kind of, wouldn't say really copycat, but if we find a great idea, hey, why don't we invent the wheel? We just, you know, tweak it to us and put it out there.
Well, you guys have done a great job. There's always something out there. There's always, you know, advanced transmission right in front of your eyes on that news feed, which is exactly what you should be doing. So it's,
and a matter
it's
of
working.
fact, Dennis was the one that suggested I use Hootsuite, which is a platform that you can plan your posts for multiple social media sites. So if we have something on Facebook, it goes on Instagram, and it goes on Alignable.
All of them at the
and
same
Google
time.
Plus, all at one time, and it can be programmed and put in there, and it's so easy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you just have to try. You just have to get out there and just do it. You know, you can't just say, oh, I don't know it, or it doesn't work for us. We get a lot of business. More of our business now is coming from people. Of course, we ask every customer how they found out about us and where they heard about us. And other than saying my father, my brother referred me, it's internet, online, Google, you know, Facebook, or, you know, that we know that that's where it's at.
You know, most companies frown on their employees being on social media 8 hours a day.
Well, not all of the employees are on social media. The ones that are supposed to.
But that's right. I think that's it. It's it's interesting to see that in action, because Vanessa is our Expo social media person now, which I don't know if she's excited.
I just found out about that the other day, by the way.
Yeah. And, you know, it's, you know, there's a guy by the name of Gary Vaynerchuk, who wrote a couple books, Crushing It. You know, he's a social media platform guy. His if you're interested in getting more information, just a plug for him. I've listened to both of his books. They're outstanding. And one of the things he talks about, he says, if you're not on your news feed following up with people that are hitting you up or posting information so you're in the limelight 2, 3, 4 times a day, he says you're not reaching the people that you want to reach, which that's probably true. You know, you make one post, oh, here's a selfie of me, you know, sitting at the beach. Yeah, I'm having a good time. That's fine. But when you're posting stuff, oh, here's another car that's out the door. Here's 5-minute rebuild. Here's a live feed from Marvin saying, hey, guys, you know, it's hot out here. Take care of yourselves today. Have a good time. Here's to all the guys. You know, those are the things that drive your page to see for other people to see randomly, because, you know, not everybody's on social media at the time, but when they do get on there and they see it, they go, oh, that's cool, and they maybe hit like, or you know. And who are you the one that's in charge of that the whole time?
Samantha and I both work our social media, time permitting, but she mainly is the one that does that. And we're working really hard to keep our response time so that we get our badge for our quick time. And we also respond to every review. We probably have 400 or 500 reviews.
Oh, yeah, nice.
We respond to every one. We also copy it and refer the vehicle and the person's name, and we post it outside so our technicians can see it to know how good a job they're doing, too, because they don't always see it.
Self-reflection. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
What is this badge we're talking about? I don't know about this badge. You're a badge. What badge? What badge? Whose badge?
We're going for the badge. Response time. You know, do you respond to people that make engaging conversations with you on social media, and how fast do you do that? So they have a response time, and about how long. I think ours is like a minute.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you get a badge?
Well, it's called a badge, you know.
Nice.
Response badge.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
On Facebook, they make a point of saying there on your page that if you're, you know, good responder.
So that you're active.
Yeah.
Help you notice.
And all the young people, you know, young people coming in our industry, the millennials are all into this, all these younger generations. That's where it's at. I mean, that's where our customers are going to be.
I noticed on one of your Facebook posts that you had a picture of all the guys, and I think yourself was on there with some certificates about training and how, you know, I'm assuming you're using this as a marketing ploy as well, correct?
Well, yes. Everything's marketing.
Yeah.
We're the only ones certified in the county. Come on by. Yeah. So they took some courses. Did they take them on the ATRA certification?
Well, let me tell you, I have a little story about that and how we achieved that. Some of the guys are certified but needed to update their certification. And then some of the other guys, the newer guys, maybe, you know, they wasn't familiar with it and the testing and how it's done. And I had been just really harping for these guys to get these tests done, and kept on and kept on. So I decided by Expo of last year that they were going to have those tests achieved and finished, because they're very smart guys. They're, you know, there's no reason that they shouldn't get those certifications and tests finished. And of course, they're longer tests, and, you know, lots of questions and that kind of thing. So I thought, well, maybe some may just be scared. Maybe some don't know. You know, we'll take this as a training time. So what I did is on Tuesday, every Tuesday, as soon as the clock struck 5, everybody came in into our kitchen area, our study area, and we discussed questions on the test. All of us, everybody. And so there was the chassis test was on Tuesdays, and of course the builder test was on a Thursdays. And so we spent time, and some questions we didn't know, and we would research it right then at the table and discuss it. Some of the, technicians that were more familiar with the answers were able to explain to the apprentice, especially the apprentice technician, of that answer and how you get to that answer and how that takes place and that kind of thing. So it was a tremendous learning experience, and every one of them took the test and passed. It was flying colors.
Wow.
But it took
was
about
worth it.
8 and 10 weeks of study. But
Wow.
you knew that they knew the information. They just weren't guessing at the questions and, multiple choice. You knew that they knew it, and they discussed it, and you knew where you needed to maybe beef up a little training.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. That is
impressive.
awesome. Yeah, that is impressive. What kind of things does Laura and Advanced Transmission do in her community to kind of put out, what does Advanced Transmission do in the community as far as, do you guys do any community, activities, that kind of thing?
Oh, we're really in a small area, even though it's growing very fast. It's a very small community, and we do a lot of things. One of our things that we do that the community looks forward to is our Cars for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it was Larry Bloodworth mentioned something about somebody giving cars away, and so we just kind of made our own thing up. And what we do is cars that are either left abandoned and they choose not to have the transmission repaired, or they want to donate it. We have at least 2, 3, sometimes 4 cars at Christmas that we give away to
Nice.
customers.
Wow. That is awesome.
It is awesome, and it's very heartwarming because
Yeah.
the guys pitch in and
Yeah.
do the work, and they take a lot of pride in that. And the radio stations are here, and the TV crew's here, and so there's quite a bit of publicity there too. But it sure warms the heart.
Yeah.
Of a single mom that's in a shelter, battered shelter, and with a little boy. And of course, Marvin made buddies with him. He was crying because he wanted Uncle Marvin.
Aww.
That's awesome.
But we give cars away at Christmas. We do not judge. We choose past customers, normally couples, and ask them to read the essays and decide. So we have 3 sets of couples,
okay.
and they're past customers. So we don't make the decision of who wins. They do.
Mm-hmm.
It gives them a blessing, too, to be involved in it. And it has never failed to be one of the most absolute wonderful things of the year that we do. And we have probably, let's say, anywhere from 100 to 150 essays.
That was my next question. Wow. Really?
So quite a few people are.
And I bet a tough decision.
I'm glad I'm not the one
Yeah.
making that one.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a really tough one. We do car clinic,
Mm-hmm.
and we follow the program for the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts. And we do the Boy Scouts in April and the Girl Scouts in October, and with conjunction with Car Care Awareness. And we have a packed house. We limit it because we have so many every year, and we follow the Scout program, and they can earn a badge in 1 day.
Oh, neat.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it takes quite a while, months, to earn badges. But we have the police officers come in, so they don't have to go to the police department. And, we have people here that they interview about their career in the automotive industry. So we do that also. That's another one of the real favorite ones. But we do a lot of support, just like any other shop does in their communities.
I'd love you to be in my community. That's awesome.
I know. I was thinking the same thing.
That is outstanding.
Awesome.
A couple years ago, I contacted you and talked to you about young bloods coming into our industry, and you gave me some great ideas as far as internship goes and apprenticeships. I spoke with Rebecca Chandler here in Camarillo, California. She is now from what I understand, going to Sacramento to be somebody like huge up in the student involvement for automotive and woodworking, and getting back to our roots here as far as getting kids more involved in hands-on type of work, right? And so during the conversations that I was having you with regards to internships and apprentices, you actually had a few come through your shop, from what I understand, and so I have a couple of questions for you.
Okay.
Do you have any now, which I think Colton is one of them, and then have you had any that came through that you went no, or they left, and if so, if that particular scenario actually happened, I'm curious why would they leave, or why did they leave, and if they didn't and you still have them, I want to hear that success story.
Well, first of all, we have always tried to have an apprentice on our facility pretty much all the time. And they do kind of come and go. However, that still makes us very proud because whether a young person stays or they get an itch and they say, hey, I'm going to have to go try Joe's shop, or I'm going to go, one of them says, I'm going to go get on a tugboat. One says, oh, I'm going to go to the Marines and go get in the Marines, and I'm enlisting, or I'm going to, because they're young. They don't always, or they're not always sure that their career path that they're going to go on, and we don't know that either. We have to go through to see if that's what they're going to do. And there are a lot of them that have been with us that either they chose to leave or not. And they are still in the automotive industry. So just like, technicians that are experienced, and they kind of float around from one shop to the other from time to time, in the transmission industry, that pool is kind of small, so they do float. At least we feel like that we're adding to the industry, whether they stay with us or whether they go to another automotive shop or another transmission shop. We have added and helped our industry by putting one more technician out there.
What a great philosophy that is.
That's how we do, because sometimes they stay, sometimes they don't, They sometimes not sure what they want to do. They're young. They'll try something and come back,
Laura, I would imagine that having an apprentice is not the easiest. You have to, not everyone is a good teacher. And so, we
have struggled.
Yeah.
We've struggled with that. And I'm going to say that the chassis study guide is what we have developed, because I can probably tell you all kind of mistakes we have made with apprentice here. One very important thing is they need to have a direction. They need to know, they're normally coming out of high school for us. They're coming out of high school. They're very, greenhorn. And they need to know, okay, step one, step two, just like they were in school almost. I'm going to achieve this, I'm going to complete this. And so ATRA's Chassis Study Guide has been what we use as our apprentice training book. So we have the two books, the Mentor, which is assigned to the apprentice, and the apprentice. And we have added videos that they have to take to zip drive. They have to watch them. They have to study the guide and go through the apprentice. The mentor he's the only one that can say that the apprentice is ready for that sectional test. Are they ready to discuss if they understand that test? And they sign off, and it's dated about how long it takes for them to complete it. Most of them take about 8 months to complete just the chassis study guide. For instance, the safety part that ATRA has. Lord, that cost me a bunch of money for the last one, because he said, these lifts don't click at the same time.
Oh, boy.
And I was like, really? What are you talking about?
He called you out on the lift. Click, 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 click. Yep.
Yeah, he said they're clicking, and they should click at the same time. And I was like, let me check on that, okay? So we were discussing. I said, well, is there anything else you notice as far as safety that our shop needs to do? And he said, well, yeah, there's some kind of grease or oil or something by that compressor. It keeps coming out. And I said, really? Well, let me check on that.
Oh my
Well,
God.
After a guy came and fixed the lifts, calibrated them, of course, is what they needed in maintenance that hadn't been done in a while.
Mm-hmm.
That was a little costly. And then the compressor had been leaking for a while, and the guys had just cleaned it up and keep going. Of course, we ended up with another compressor. So
There's some learning going on both sides here, it sounds like.
yeah, because of safety issues like that. And of course, I tell the guys, don't teach these young boys any bad habits. They'll learn them very soon.
On their own,
Don't teach them any bad habits. But it takes the effort, a really big effort on
And
the
patience,
part
I'm
of
sure.
the owner and of the guys in the shop, because everybody has to pitch in to help someone. When we first started with taking these young kids out of the high schools, and we had a good relationship with the high school instructor, and he would send us his best kids, and kind of thing. We found out that we just put them in the work area and made them clean. Sweep the floor, clean up, take the trash out. Well, we found out that was not good. One thing, they do not have the same level of respect from the other technicians when all they do is say, hey, come clean this up. Hey,
Interesting.
Take this garbage
Yeah.
out, kind of thing. And then they lose their interest very, very quickly. Because they're just cleaning. They were here to be a technician to work on cars.
Yeah.
And so they lose their interest. So we found that was definitely not the way to go. If you're going to hire somebody to clean, hire them to clean.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody should do their part with keeping their own station.
True.
I mean, they do help out a little bit more because they have less work because, they're not experienced as much. But Marvin even went to the point of one of the technicians that were so green, and he was so anxious to get his hands on a car, that Marvin literally marked each bolt and said, okay, take these bolts out. And then waited, and now take these bolts out.
Right.
And, so we've had some that's been really green, and I tell you, if you put the time and effort in with them, and they really want to do it, they just fly. I mean, they're fast.
Yeah, they get their sponges. Yeah. And you can recognize that, I think, too. When you have somebody that is mechanically inclined, but they don't realize it yet, and as soon as you start putting those tools in the hands, I mentioned this before at one of the previous casts, but Tim rebuilt his engine in his Chevy, and all I had to do was stand there and point and click and say, here, take those bolts out, take this out, take this out. But when he says, I walked in after work one day and he says, oh, I got the heads on. I said, did you torque them? No. So, well, how'd you tighten them? Well, I just pulled as hard as I could. Well, no.
And it didn't break off.
No. That's not how that's done. So, yeah. So
and he was so proud, wasn't he?
he was, and that was the key. The story goes literally a week prior to that. I'm sitting there on a Sunday afternoon getting yelled at about his car that's not working and why I won't help him. And I said, I've got $40,000 worth of tools sitting out in that shed. All he's got to do is pull his car up next to it. He hasn't done that yet. And, typical teenagers,
right.
They don't want to, listen, they want to go have fun and hang out with their friends. They don't want to be working on their own car. But once you give him the opportunity, like, listen, all you have to do is pull your car back here. I'll walk out there. I'll give you some instruction. You just go to work. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. Otherwise, it's going to be $2,700 that you're going to have to spend someplace else.
Yep.
What do you want to do? Well, I don't want to spend the $2,700. Then get your hands dirty. And he was working at a fabrication shop, welding stuff. He's working at Greg Rent's now, doing heavy equipment stuff. So he's not afraid to get dirty. He likes that. And it took literally. He started on a Thursday and was done on Sunday.
Nice.
I mean, he was moving right through it. So
Wow.
yeah, and
is
it runs.
impressive.
It doesn't overheat. It's like woo,
Great.
it's fixed. So
Impressive. And he's so proud of himself.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
he is. He really is. And
And that'll give him confidence for the next problem.
well, the next problem is my Suburban, which prior to that, he was taking the parts off of my car, putting them on
Oh, no.
his, trying to fix his lifter problem that he thought was an ignition problem, and then so now he's got to fix. Now he's got to put my car back together. So, well, that's a different story for a different day.
That is cute.
So Colton, tell me a little bit about Colton, how he came to your shop, and where is he at now?
Well, he came from the high school. He was high school, and we went to a job fair at the school, and they invited us to come, and we went to the job fair, and they came through, and of course, he was about to graduate and ready to start, so he needed. He didn't have transportation, and we just happened to have a car that we weren't going to use for our cars for Christmas because it was a little standard shift, a little, I don't know, Tiburon or something like that. And he didn't have transportation, so that was an issue. And we said, hey, you hang in with us for a year, you can just have the car. Well, gave him transportation, it was really great. So, different incentives, I guess we could use. School incentive, which we had some, that he did some borrowing, and then we worked with a tool guy to help him to get some, credit and, kind of stand behind that till he could start accumulating a few tools. And he's doing absolutely fantastic. He has probably excelled faster than any other of our apprentice technicians we've ever had come through here. He's very smart, young man, very smart. He was going to run off and go join the Marines. And I said, well, doggone it, here we go with another one. He's going to go off and do something else. And, well, he decided he didn't want to go in the Marines and changed his mind. That's how they do. They're young, not sure what they want to do. And we recently, the chapter, ATRA chapter, had a CVT class. And they came in and did the class. We also had a sonics pressure test class. And, of course, we invite technicians from all the area to take the classes. But he said, man, I think I want to learn to build these CVTs, Mr. Marvin.
Got him.
Yeah, and we were like, build CVTs? Most of our industry is like, oh, I'm not touching the CVT.
Right.
I'm not building one of those. We're staying away from those. And there's like about to take the industry over with CVTs, but I'm not going to touch those. And here this young kid is saying, "Man, Mr. Marvin, these things look real simple. I think I can
Neat.
learn to build these." So we have I guess a program where we feel helping them to learn build transmissions is to tear them down. So they tear the transmissions down. They take home exploded views of parts, what the name of the parts are, and so they can familiarize themselves with what the internal part name is, and then how to take them apart, and they just start learning, as they take one apart and kind of master it, and then they'll start putting together. So this kid's really doing, and I hate to call him kid, this young man is really doing fantastic and excelling very quickly, and I think is going to be a superstar.
Will he be going to Expo, Laura?
But, he didn't go because he was joining the Marines at the last Expo. He was running off to join the Marines. But, yes, he will be there.
Oh, that's great for him.
Yes,
That's cool. Can't wait to meet him.
Yeah.
yes. Super nice kid. He gets real shy when it comes to speaking in public or speaking to someone, but one-on-one, he is just a chatterbox.
Reminds me about 50% of the kids that I coach in high school. They're all the same way.
Yes, yes.
That's funny. Well, this has been fantastic, Laura. Thank you so much
very informative.
Thank y'all for
for
inviting
taking
me.
our
It's
call.
good.
Yeah, we always love talking with you. You always have some insight for us.
Never enough time with Laura.
Never enough. It's a new show.
Yeah.
Never enough time with Laura. We go on sitcom, 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock, Channel 11, Fox News.
That's it.
Never enough time with Laura. That's right.
Well, maybe if in the South I would learn to speak a little faster, it would go quicker.
Oh no.
You don't have to worry about that.
Hey, as long as you have our attention, it's no problem
Slow
at
and
all.
steady.
Yeah.
Slow and steady is fine with us too. As
Well,
long as
thank
we
y'all for having me. I really
Yeah.
it makes me feel special. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
say hi to all the guys for us, and
Sure
we look
will.
forward to seeing you in October. It's a great day to fix transmissions, so let's keep fixing transmissions together. Till next time, have a great day.
Later.